Commander John Kelly stood at the wide glass window of North American Defense Coalition headquarters. His eyes were fixed on the clear blue sky. It was a beautiful day in June. Nothing in the peaceful scene hinted at the chaos about to unfold. "Sir, we have multiple objects entering Earth's atmosphere." The voice of Lieutenant Frank Powell broke the silence. His fingers moved quickly across the control panel. "They're big, bigger than anything we've ever tracked." Kelly turned away from the window. His weathered face showed no fear, but the muscle tightening in his jaw gave away his concern. At 53, he had spent 30 years in military service. None of those years had prepared him for this moment. "Show me," he ordered. The main screen lit up with images from satellites. Dark shapes pushed through the upper atmosphere. Their black hulls absorbed light rather than reflected it. Each ship was at least a mile long with strange wing-like structures that didn't seem necessary for space travel. Red energy flickered across their surfaces. "Draconians," Kelly whispered. Everyone in the room knew what that meant. For the past 20 years, Earth had watched helplessly as the Draconian Empire expanded. Across the galaxy, their advanced ships could travel between stars in days rather than the centuries it would take human vessels. Their weapons could destroy entire cities. Their armor could withstand nuclear strikes, and they never, ever negotiated. "How many?" Kelly asked. "We count 327 ships in the main fleet," Powell responded. His voice remained professional, but sweat beaded on his forehead. "They're positioning themselves above major cities: New York, London, Beijing, Moscow, Tokyo." "And us?" Kelly asked. Powell's shoulders dropped slightly. "Our missiles won't penetrate their shields. Our fighter jets can't match their speed. The experimental railguns might damage their smaller ships, but not the main fleet." Kelly nodded. This wasn't news. Earth's leaders had been preparing for this possibility since they first detected Draconian signals 10 years ago. Every nation had poured resources into defense technology, but they were simply too far behind. "Send the alert. Activate Protocol Omega." Kelly's voice was steady. "And get me a direct line to Dr. Martinez." Across the globe, sirens began to wail. Emergency. Broadcasts interrupted regular programming. People stepped out of their homes and workplaces to stare at the sky in disbelief and terror. Deep beneath the New Mexico desert, Dr. Olivia Martinez received the call she had been dreading. Her underground laboratory, hidden from even satellite detection, buzzed with frantic activity as researchers rushed to secure data and prepare equipment. "Tell me you have good news, Doctor." Kelly's voice came through the secure line. Martinez pushed her glasses up on her nose and stared at the experimental device that dominated the center of the lab. It looked like a large metal ring surrounded by complex machinery and countless cables. "Project Ghostlight isn't ready, Commander," she said. "We've had success with small objects, but nothing on the scale we would need. And the power requirement," she trailed off. "Doctor, you should know that the Draconian fleet is in our atmosphere. We estimate less than 24 hours before they begin landing operations." Martinez closed her eyes briefly. She was 38 years old, had 3 PhDs, and had been working on quantum displacement theory since she was 20. Her work had been dismissed as impossible by most of the scientific community until 5 years ago, when she had successfully made a baseball disappear from reality and then return. "What about evacuation?" she asked. "To where?" Kelly replied. "We've seen what they do to planets. No place on Earth will be safe if they decide we're not worth keeping alive." Martinez looked around at her team. Alan Wright, her assistant, was nervously chewing his lip. He was barely 30 but had proven himself brilliant in applied quantum mechanics. The others, engineers, physicists, computer specialists, all looked to her now. "We'll need more power than we've ever tested," she said finally. "And I can't guarantee the field will hold or what exactly will happen if it does." "I'll get you whatever you need," Kelly promised. "Just tell me what to do." Above Washington, D.C., the largest of the Draconian ships hovered like a thundercloud. Its shadow covered the National Mall and reached to the edges of the city. Similar scenes played out in capitals around the world. The first transmission came 6 hours after their arrival. Every screen on Earth, televisions, computers, phones, electronic billboards, suddenly showed the same image. A Draconian commander, his scaled face and yellow eyes filling the frame. Unlike the science fiction movies that had imagined reptilian aliens, the Draconians had no snouts. Their faces were flat with small nose slits, and their heads were covered in fine scales that shimmered like metal. When the alien spoke, its mouth showed rows of small, sharp teeth. People of Earth, the translation appeared as text below the image. I am Admiral Vexthor of the Draconian Empire. Your planet is now under our control. Resistance is not advised. We have studied your weapons and defenses. They cannot harm us. The cold, matter-of-fact delivery was somehow more frightening than any threat could have been. Your species has potential value as a labor resource. Comply with all instructions, and a portion of your population will be preserved to serve the Empire. You have one planetary rotation to prepare your leaders for formal surrender. After this time, any resistance will be met with planetary sterilization. The transmission ended. In his office at the Pentagon, Commander Kelly received reports from around the world. Russia and China had already launched nuclear missiles at the ships over their territories. The missiles had either been destroyed mid-flight or had exploded harmlessly against Draconian shields. Get me on the next transport to New Mexico, Kelly ordered, and I need the Joint Chiefs to approve the power diversion Dr. Martinez requested. Sir, Powell said hesitantly, that would take almost all of our remaining operational grid capacity. Lieutenant, if Martinez's project fails, we won't need power for anything else anyway, Kelly replied. As the transport helicopter lifted off, Kelly watched the massive Draconian ship looming over the city. In its shadow, people fled or huddled in groups. Some prayed, some looted abandoned stores, some simply sat in parks or on rooftops staring upward. Humanity had less than 18 hours to find a miracle. The helicopter landed at a small airstrip in the New Mexico desert. Commander Kelly stepped out into the hot, dry air. A military jeep waited nearby. No markings, no flags, nothing to draw attention. This way, sir, said the driver, a young soldier, with a grim expression. The ride took them deep into the desert. To anyone watching, they were heading nowhere. After 20 minutes, they stopped at what looked like an abandoned gas station. The building was weathered and falling apart. The driver placed his hand on a scanner hidden beneath peeling paint. A section of the ground slid open, revealing a ramp that led underground. Welcome to Ghostlight, the driver said. Below the surface, the contrast was shocking. Bright lights, clean metal walls, and the hum of advanced machinery replaced the dusty desert. People in lab coats rushed between rooms. Soldiers guarded key areas. The air smelled of electronics and fear. Dr. Martinez met Kelly in the main lab. Her eyes were red from lack of sleep, her dark hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. Commander, she nodded. I wish we were meeting under better circumstances. Tell me about Ghostlight, Kelly said, looking at the large metal ring in the center of the room. Martinez led him to a display screen. 3 months ago, we made a breakthrough in quantum displacement theory. She pulled up diagrams that Kelly couldn't begin to understand. In simple terms, we can move objects out of our reality and into what we call a pocket dimension. They don't go anywhere physically. They stay in the same location but exist in a different phase of reality. You make things invisible? Kelly asked. Not exactly. We remove them from our dimension entirely. They're not here, but they're not somewhere else either. They're between. Alan Wright joined them, carrying a tablet filled with calculations. We've successfully displaced objects up to the size of a small car, but the power requirements increase exponentially with size. And the Draconian ships are much larger than cars, Kelly guessed. Much larger, Martinez agreed. To displace, even one of their smaller ships would require more energy than the entire state of California uses in a month. Kelly looked at the metal ring again. And that's your device? That's the displacement field generator, Wright explained. It creates a quantum bubble. Anything inside that bubble when it activates gets shifted into the pocket dimension. How long do things stay? Displaced? Kelly asked. Martinez and Wright exchanged glances. That's complicated, Martinez said. Small objects we can bring back easily. Large objects require more energy to return than to displace. And there's a time dilation effect we don't fully understand. Meaning? Meaning that for objects in the pocket dimension, time passes differently. Much, much slower. What might be seconds for them could be years for us. Kelly absorbed this information. Can you target specific ships? The command vessels? Martinez nodded slowly. In theory, but we'd need to modify our satellites to help focus the field. And we need power. More power than we've ever tested. I've ordered emergency connections to power plants across North America, Kelly said. Europe and Asia are bringing their grids online too. You'll have the power. And if it works? Wright asked. What happens to Earth's power infrastructure? Kelly's face was grim. Major damage. Blackouts lasting weeks or months. But that's better than the alternative. The alternative hung in the air between them. Planetary sterilization. The end of humanity. Martinez checked her watch. We have 14 hours before the Draconian's deadline. Let's get to work. Across the globe, Draconian ships maintained their positions above major cities. Smaller scout vessels occasionally descended, hovering just above skyscrapers before returning to the fleet. They were watching, studying, preparing. In the White House Situation Room, the President of the United States sat with what remained of her cabinet. Some members had fled to bunkers. Some had gone to be with their families. We've received similar reports from every nation, the Secretary of Defense was saying. Military options have failed. The Draconian's technology is simply too advanced. And this Project Ghostlight? The President asked. Our only hope, Madam President. Commander Kelly is on site now. The President nodded. Then we need to buy them time. She turned to her Secretary of State. Contact the Draconians. Tell them I wish to discuss terms of surrender personally. Back in the underground facility, progress was being made. Engineers had established connections to power grids. Across the continent, satellite systems were being reprogrammed to help focus the quantum field. Dr. Martinez hadn't slept in 36 hours. She stood at a workstation, checking and rechecking calculations. The field won't be stable, she told Kelly. With this much power, this much mass to displace, there will be side effects. What kind of side effects? Kelly asked. Best case? Electromagnetic pulses that disable electronics within a 100-mile radius of each targeted ship. Worst case? The pocket dimension collapses, releasing all the energy at once, which means explosions, big ones. Wright approached with a tablet. I've been running simulations. We can't target the entire fleet. We don't have enough power. But we can hit the main concentration, about 70% of their ships, including the command vessel. Kelly nodded. That's enough to throw them into chaos. Our conventional forces can handle the remaining ships if they're disorganized. A soldier rushed into the lab. Commander, the President is meeting with the Draconian Admiral. They've allowed her to board their command ship. Kelly's eyes widened. When? The meeting started 30 minutes ago. They allowed a small delegation to join her. Martinez looked alarmed. If they're on the command ship when we activate the field, they'll be displaced too. Wright finished. Kelly thought quickly. How long until you're ready to activate? 2 hours, Martinez said. Maybe less. I need to warn them. Kelly turned to the communications officer. Get me a secure line to the presidential delegation, and pray the Draconians aren't monitoring it. On the Draconian command ship, the President and her small team sat across from Admiral Vexthor. The alien's yellow eyes showed no emotion as he listened to the President's attempts to negotiate. Surely we can reach an arrangement that benefits both our peoples, the President was saying. Earth has resources, yes, but we also have knowledge, culture. Your knowledge is primitive, Vexthor interrupted. Your culture irrelevant. You will serve or be eliminated. Those are the only options. The President's aide felt her secure, phone vibrate in her pocket. A message from Commander Kelly. Evacuate immediately. Operation Ghostlight activating in 90 minutes. The aide leaned over and whispered in the president's ear. The president's expression didn't change, but she shifted. Strategy immediately. Admiral, I need time to confer with other world leaders. Your deadline was one planetary rotation. We still have several hours. Vexthor's scaled lips curved into what might have been a smile. Your attempts to delay are transparent, human, but I will grant your request. You have 1 hour to return to your planet and make your final decision. As the presidential shuttle departed the command ship, the countdown to humanity's most desperate gamble continued. The presidential shuttle raced back toward Earth. Inside, the president spoke urgently with Commander Kelly via secure video link. How confident are you in this Ghostlight project? She asked. Kelly's face on the screen was serious. It's our only option, Madam President. Dr. Martinez has given it a 40% chance of success. And if it fails? Then we face the Draconians with conventional weapons and hope for mercy, Kelly said. But based on their history with other planets, mercy isn't something they offer. The president looked out the window at the massive Draconian ships. 40%. Better odds than I expected. She turned back to the screen. You have my authorization. Proceed with Ghostlight. In the underground facility, the final preparations were underway. Dr. Martinez hadn't slept in nearly 2 days. Her hands shook slightly as she checked the connections on the quantum displacement ring. Power grid connections are stable, Alan Wright reported. We're drawing energy from 37 countries now. It's causing brownouts across the globe. When we activate it, will be more than brownouts, Martinez warned. We're likely to blow out power systems worldwide. Kelly entered the main lab. The president's shuttle has cleared the command ship. Time to activation? 43 minutes, Martinez said. We're running final calibrations now. Kelly nodded. I've ordered all military personnel to prepare for engagement with the remaining Draconian ships. Once we activate Ghostlight, there will be confusion in their ranks. That's our chance to strike. Commander, Wright called from his station. We've detected movement in the Draconian fleet. Some ships are changing position. Kelly rushed to look at the display. Several Draconian vessels were breaking formation, moving to higher orbits. They know something's happening. We need to move up the timeline. We can't, Martinez protested. The field isn't stable yet. If we activate now, it could collapse immediately. If we wait, they'll scatter beyond our targeting range, Kelly argued. How much more time do you need? Martinez exchanged looks with Wright. 20 minutes, absolute minimum. Make it happen, Kelly ordered. He turned to the communications officer. Alert all forces. Operation Ghostlight activates in 20 minutes. Across the globe, military units prepared for what might be humanity's last stand. Fighter pilots sat in cockpits ready to launch. Missile crews stood by their stations. Infantry units took defensive positions around key locations. In the new Mexico facility, the quantum displacement ring began to glow with a soft blue light. The hum of machinery grew louder as more power flowed into the system. Power levels at 60% and rising, Wright reported. Targeting systems locked on the main Draconian fleet concentration. Martinez's fingers flew across her control panel. Field stability is marginal but holding. 15 minutes to minimum safe activation threshold. On the main Draconian command ship, Admiral Vexthor received reports from his sensor officers. Admiral, we're detecting unusual energy patterns from the planet's surface, one officer reported. Power surges across their grid. They appear to be channeling energy toward a location in their western desert region. Vexthor's yellow eyes narrowed. A weapon? Unknown, Admiral. Nothing in our database matches these energy signatures. Vexthor considered for a moment. Move half the fleet to higher orbit as a precaution. Prepare to launch ground forces immediately. Whatever they're planning, we will crush it. In the Ghostlight facility, alarms began to sound. The Draconians are moving more ships out of our targeting range, Wright called out. We're down to targeting 62% of their fleet. Is the command ship still in range? Kelly asked urgently. Wright checked his display. Yes, for now. But they're preparing to move as well. Kelly turned to Martinez. We're out of time, Doctor. Can you activate? Martinez stared at her readings. Field stability is at 78%. It's not enough for guaranteed success, but she took a deep breath. We activate now or we lose our chance. Kelly nodded. Do it. Martinez turned a key in her control panel. Wright did the same at his station. A countdown appeared on the main screen. 60 seconds. All personnel, brace for potential system feedback, Kelly announced over the facility's speakers. Power surge expected on activation. The quantum ring's blue glow intensified, becoming almost too bright to look at directly. The hum of machinery rose to a whine, then a roar. 30 seconds, Wright called out. Power levels at maximum capacity. Grid connections holding but only just. Martinez watched her stability readings fluctuate. The field is unstable but within acceptable parameters. 20 seconds. In cities around the world, lights flickered and went out as power was diverted to Project Ghostlight. Hospitals switched to emergency generators. Transportation systems ground to a halt. 10 seconds, Wright announced. The entire facility was vibrating now. Kelly stood firm, watching the main screen where the Draconian fleet was displayed. The command ship was starting to move, but still, within their targeting zone. 5 seconds, Wright said. 4, 3, 2, 1. Martinez pressed the final activation button, initiating quantum displacement field. For a brief moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then a pulse of blue-white energy erupted from the facility, traveling upward at impossible speed. When it reached the atmosphere, it spread outward, becoming a dome of shimmering energy that enveloped the majority of the Draconian fleet. In the White House Situation Room, officials watched their screens in awe. My God, whispered the Secretary of Defense. On the displays, the Draconian ships caught in the energy field appeared to waver, like mirages in the desert. Their solid forms became transparent, then translucent, then gone. Where 300 massive warships had been, there was now only empty sky. In the Ghostlight facility, systems were failing everywhere. Consoles sparked and smoked. The quantum ring's glow faded as power connections worldwide collapsed. Did it work? Kelly asked, coughing in the smoke-filled air. Wright checked his remaining functional displays. Confirmation from orbital sensors. 212 Draconian ships have vanished from our reality. The command ship is among them. Martinez slumped in her chair, exhaustion finally catching up with her. They're not destroyed. They're displaced into the pocket dimension, frozen in time from their perspective. And the remaining ships? Kelly asked. 115 vessels remain in orbit, Wright reported. They appear to be in disarray, no coordinated movements. Kelly nodded. Without the command ship, without Admiral Vexthor, their chain of command is broken. He picked up a phone that still worked. This is Commander Kelly. Launch all fighters, target remaining Draconian vessels. They're vulnerable now. Around the world, power systems failed as the electrical grid collapsed from the massive energy drain. But in the darkness, people looked up at the sky and saw something miraculous. Where there had been hundreds of threatening alien ships now, there were only a few scattered vessels, and those were being engaged by Earth's fighters. For the first time since the Draconians had arrived, humanity dared to hope. The world changed in the hours that followed. Earth's remaining military forces engaged the confused Draconian ships. Without central command, the alien vessels responded in different ways. Some fled Earth's orbit immediately, jumping to faster-than-light travel as soon as they cleared the gravity well. Others fought back fiercely but without coordination. Commander Kelly directed the global defense from a backup facility after the Ghostlight complex lost power. His voice was hoarse from giving orders, his eyes red from smoke and lack of sleep. Status. Report, he demanded. A young officer handed him a tablet. 37 Draconian ships destroyed. 22 have fled the solar system. The rest appear to be regrouping near the moon. And our losses? The officer's face fell. Heavy, sir. We've lost 60% of our air forces. The Chinese space platform is gone. The European defense grid is offline. Kelly nodded grimly. But we're still in the fight. Dr. Martinez had been evacuated to a military hospital. She lay on a bed with monitors tracking her vital signs. She had collapsed from exhaustion shortly after ghost light activated. Alan Wright sat beside her, his own face pale with fatigue. The readings are still coming in, he told her when she woke. The displaced ships are still there, in the same physical location, but out of phase with our reality. Martinez tried to sit up but was too weak. Can we see them? Only with specialized sensors. To the naked eye, they're gone. But the quantum signature is unmistakable. Wright showed her a tablet with the readings. The time dilation effect is even stronger than we predicted. For every hour that passes for us, less than a second passes for them. Martinez did the calculation in her head. So they're essentially frozen in time. Until the field collapses, yes. And when will that happen? Wright hesitated. Based on current decay rates. Not for thousands of years. The president addressed the nation, and by extension the world, from an underground bunker. Power was still out across much of the globe, but battery-powered radios carried her voice to millions. My fellow citizens of Earth, she began. Today, we have witnessed both the greatest threat and the greatest triumph in human history. The Draconian invasion force has been neutralized. Their main fleet has been removed from our reality, through technology developed by our own scientists. She paused, letting the news sink in. This victory came at great cost. Our power infrastructure is severely damaged. Many brave service members gave their lives in the battle against the remaining alien ships. We face difficult days of rebuilding ahead. She leaned closer to the microphone, her voice strengthening. But we will rebuild. And we will do so as one people, not as separate nations, but as humans who stood together against extinction. The Draconian threat forced us to set aside our differences. Let us not forget that unity as we move forward. 3 days after Ghost Light activated, the remaining Draconian ships made their move. The 56 vessels that had regrouped near the moon suddenly accelerated toward Earth. They're making a last stand, Kelly told the Joint Military Command. They know they're cut off from their empire. They have nowhere to go. The battle was brutal, but brief. Earth's remaining defenses were coordinated and determined. The Draconians, still disorganized without their command structure, fought individually rather than as a cohesive force. By the end of the day, 39 more Draconian ships had been destroyed. The remaining 17 broke off their attack and fled the solar system. 1 week after the invasion, scientists and military personnel returned to the Ghost Light facility. The building was damaged but still structurally sound. Most of the equipment was destroyed, the quantum displacement ring a melted ruin at the center of the main lab. Could we rebuild it? Kelly asked as he surveyed the damage with Martinez and Wright. Martinez shook her head. Even if we had the resources, the technical specifications were stored in computers that were fried in the power surge. We might be able to recreate the technology eventually, but it would take years. And the ships we displaced? They're still there? Wright nodded. We can detect them with the right equipment. They exist in a pocket dimension overlapping our own space. To us, they're invisible ghosts. To them, time has nearly stopped. Kelly stared at the empty space above them, knowing that somewhere in that same space, frozen in time, hung the Draconian command ship and its admiral. A fitting prison, he murmured. 2 weeks after the invasion, the first alien ships arrived. These were not Draconians, but representatives from a coalition of species from across the galaxy. Their ships were smaller, with sleek designs that contrasted sharply with the aggressive, angular Draconian vessels. The alien delegation met with Earth's leaders in a hastily arranged conference in Geneva. Power had been restored to major cities, but much of the world still relied on emergency generators. The lead alien, a tall humanoid with pale blue skin and silver eyes, addressed the assembly. His words were translated through a device on his chest. "We are the Galactic Coalition," he stated. "For centuries we have watched the Draconian Empire expand, unable to effectively oppose their military might. Many worlds fell to their fleets. Many species were enslaved or exterminated. The alien Silver Eyes swept across the human delegates, and then they came to Earth, a planet we had observed but not contacted, as your civilization had not yet achieved faster than light travel. By our estimation, the Draconians should have conquered your world within days. He paused, his expression shifting to something that might have been respect. Instead, we received reports that the main Draconian fleet had vanished. At first, we believed it was misinformation, but our sensors confirmed it. Over 200 Draconian warships, including their command vessel, simply gone. Another alien stepped forward, this one with features like a feline and golden fur covering her body. "We have come to understand what you did," she said. "This quantum displacement technology is unknown even to species thousands of years more advanced than yours. You achieved what the combined scientific might of 20 civilizations could not." The first alien nodded. "The remnants of the Draconian fleet have fled back to their core worlds, spreading word of Earth's impossible defense. The empire built on fear now faces something they have never known: uncertainty." Commander Kelly, sitting with the Earth delegation, asked the question on everyone's mind. "What happens now?" The alien coalition exchanged glances. "Now," the blue-skinned leader said, "we offer Earth membership in the Galactic Coalition. Your world has changed the balance of power across the stars, and the galaxy will never be the same." 6 months after the Draconian invasion, Earth was a changed world. The damage from the power grid collapse had been mostly repaired with help from Galactic Coalition technology. More importantly, humans were different. Old national rivalries seemed petty after facing extinction together. A new global government had formed, focused on rebuilding and preparing for humanity's place among the stars. Commander John Kelly, now director of Earth's new Galactic Affairs Division, stood on the observation deck of the first Human Coalition joint space station. Through the wide window, he could see Earth below, beautiful and fragile. Beside him stood Dr. Olivia Martinez, recovered from her collapse and now heading humanity's scientific exchange program. "Hard to believe it's only been 6 months, Kelly said. Martinez nodded. "The Coalition engineers helped us rebuild in weeks what would have taken years on our own." "And Ghostlight? Any progress on rebuilding it?" Martinez smiled slightly. "We've started from scratch. Coalition scientists are fascinated by the concept. They had never considered quantum displacement on that scale. It might take years, but we'll get there." A soft chime announced the arrival of the station's transport pod. Alan Wright stepped out, accompanied by 2 Coalition representatives, Neros, the blue-skinned diplomat, and Kitha, the feline scientist. Director Kelly, Dr. Martinez, Neros greeted them with a slight bow. "The Coalition Council has approved the Technology Exchange Program. Earth will receive faster-than-light drive specifications within the month." Kelly's eyes widened. "That's ahead of schedule. We didn't expect FTL technology for at least a year." Keitha's whiskers twitched in what humans had learned was amusement. "Your world has proven itself worthy of acceleration. The way you unified after the invasion impressed the Council." Wright joined Martinez by the window. "The Coalition ships are returning from their survey of the displaced Draconian fleet." He pointed to several small vessels approaching the station. "Any change in status?" Martinez asked. "None," Kitha replied. "The ships remain in quantum stasis. Our calculations confirm your original estimate. They will remain displaced for approximately 3,000 years." Kelly's expression grew serious. "And then?" Neros and Kitha exchanged glances. "Then they will return to normal spacetime," Neros said. "But by that point, both our civilizations will have advanced far beyond their technology." In another part of the station, a Coalition communication officer received an urgent transmission. The officer, a slender being with copper-colored skin, immediately contacted the station commander. "Sir, we're receiving reports from the border sectors. Draconian activity is increasing. The remnant fleet that escaped Earth has regrouped under a new admiral." The news spread quickly. Within an hour, Kelly, Martinez, and Wright sat in the station's conference room with Coalition representatives. The Draconian Empire is launching new offensives in 3 sectors, Neros explained, showing a holographic map of the galaxy. Red areas indicated Draconian control, blue showed Coalition space, and Earth was a small green dot at the edge of Coalition territory. They're attacking directly? Kelly asked, surprised. No, Keitha said. They're using proxy forces, arming smaller aggressive species and promising them territory. Their direct fleet actions have been limited to small raids. They're afraid, Wright realized. Earth frightened them. Neros nodded. Precisely. The Draconians built their empire on fear and absolute technological superiority. You shattered both pillars. Their remaining ships returned to Draconia Prime with tales of an impossible human weapon that made their main fleet vanish. Martinez studied the map. So they're testing responses, probing for weakness while staying at a safe distance from Earth. Yes, Keitha agreed. And our intelligence suggests they are desperately trying to understand how your displacement technology works. They've doubled their science divisions and are forcing captured scientists from other worlds to research quantum physics. Kelly leaned forward. What's the Coalition's response? That's why we're here, Neros said. The Coalition Council has a proposal for Earth. We believe the time has come to take a more active role in galactic affairs. 2 days later, Kelly addressed the United Earth Council from the space station. His image was broadcast to screens around the world. The Galactic Coalition has proposed a joint mission, he announced. They are forming a special task force to counter Draconian expansion, and they've asked Earth to participate. The council chamber buzzed with voices. Why us? Asked the representative from the African Union. We barely survived the invasion. Our technology is still far behind the Coalition's. Because of what we represent, Kelly explained. Earth is now a symbol across the galaxy. We're the planet that defeated the undefeatable. The Draconians fear us specifically, not just our technology. What exactly would this mission entail? Asked the European representative. A diplomatic show of force, Kelly replied. A coalition fleet with Earth representatives visiting worlds that are under Draconian pressure, showing that we stand together. And if diplomacy fails? The Chinese representative asked. Kelly's face was grim. Then we demonstrate that the displacement of the Draconian fleet wasn't a one-time miracle. That's why Dr. Martinez and her team have been invited to bring their research aboard a coalition science vessel. The vote was nearly unanimous. Earth would join the coalition's mission. 1 month later, a fleet of coalition ships prepared to depart Earth orbit. Among them was the EDS Defender, Earth's first faster-than-light capable vessel. It was small compared to coalition ships, but its very existence represented a giant leap for humanity. On the Defender's bridge, Commander Kelly sat in the captain's chair. Dr. Martinez and Alan Wright were stationed at science consoles, surrounded by both human and coalition crew members. All systems check complete, reported Lieutenant Powell, who had been with Kelly since the invasion. Coalition fleet reports ready for departure. Kelly looked at the view screen, where Earth hung like a blue jewel against the blackness of space. 6 months ago, they had been fighting for survival against an overwhelming alien force. Now they were heading to the stars as equals with advanced civilizations. Send the final message to Earth Control, Kelly ordered. Powell nodded. Channel, open, sir. Kelly straightened in his chair. Earth Control, this is EDS Defender. We are commencing our first diplomatic mission as members of the Galactic Coalition. We carry with us the hopes of humanity, and the message that Earth stands ready to defend peace across the stars. The response came immediately. Defender, this is Earth Control. You are cleared for departure. Make us proud out there. Kelly turned to Martinez. Ready to make history again, Doctor? Martinez smiled. Absolutely, Director. The galaxy isn't going to know what hit it. As the Coalition fleet engaged their faster-than-light drives, the stars outside the view screen blurred and stretched. Earth vanished behind them as humanity took its first steps into a larger universe, not as conquerors like the Draconians, but as protectors. Across the galaxy, word spread rapidly. The humans are coming. The species that made a Draconian fleet, Vanish was now an active member of the Galactic Coalition, and the balance of power would never be the same again.